Picture the most American brand you can think of. Now imagine handing its keys to a man who built his entire career selling sneakers. That is exactly what Harley-Davidson did. And over the next 5 years, that one decision helped erase billions in value and dragged an icon to the edge. This is the story of how the wrong man at the top nearly finished off a legend, and why, right now, the damage might be permanent. Stay with me, because the final numbers are going to stop you cold. Chapter 1. The keys to the kingdom. In the spring of 2020, Harley-Davidson handed control of America's most iconic motorcycle company to a man named Jochen Zeitz. On paper, his resume looked spectacular. He had run the German sportswear giant Puma for 2 decades, becoming chief executive at just 30 years old. Under his watch, Puma's share price climbed roughly 4,000%, a genuinely staggering turnaround. He had also built a 50,000-acre wildlife conservancy and opened a contemporary art museum. There was only one problem. He had zero experience building or engineering motorcycles. His world was branding, sportswear, and corporate turnarounds, not pistons, frames, and fuel tanks. He had joined Harley's board back in 2007, and when the top job came open, he stepped in, first as acting chief executive, then permanently months later. Now defenders will tell you he rode. One major newspaper reported he had owned Harleys for decades, but that claim is hard to verify. It does not appear in any profile from his Puma years. And inside the company, plenty of people never saw him as a true product obsessive, the kind of leader who lives and breathes the machine. He owned several Harleys, sure, but owning a motorcycle and obsessing over one are completely different things. And that distinction was about to show up in his very first major bet, a bet that carried a price tag so high, almost nobody would buy it. Chapter 2. The $30,000 mistake. That first big bet was called Livewire, Harley's flagship electric motorcycle, and it launched with a sticker price that made the entire industry blink. $29,799. For context, a comparable electric bike from a rival cost $16,495. Harley was asking customers to pay nearly double the competition. A dealer summed it up perfectly. Interest in the bike was very high, he said, right up until people heard the price. Then that interest flew straight out the window, and the sales numbers proved him right in the most brutal way imaginable. Under Zeitz, Harley spun Livewire off into a separate public company valued at $1.8 billion. The growth story sold to investors was wildly optimistic. Here is what actually happened. In its first full year, Livewire sold 597 electric motorcycles. The next year, 660, the year after, 612, and then 653. 4 straight years of sales that would not even fill a mid-sized parking garage. It gets worse. At one point, the company's children's balance bike business earned more revenue than its adult electric motorcycles. Let that sink in. A company valued near $2 billion was being out-earned by toddler bikes. But here is the thing that should truly baffle you. The electric flop was not even his most puzzling decision, because around the same time, Harley took a motorcycle riders were begging for and quietly killed it. Chapter 3. The bike that never existed. The bike was the Bronx, a lean, aggressive street fighter that Harley unveiled to huge applause at the big Milan Motorcycle Show in 2019. It packed a modern engine making 115 horsepower. It looked sharp, it looked modern, and it looked like the kind of bike that could pull in younger riders. Fans were genuinely excited. For once, here was a Harley aimed at the future instead of the past. And then, in the summer of 2020, Harley shelved it before it ever reached a single showroom. Years later, the Bronx still does not exist. A bike the market actually wanted, simply erased. So picture the pattern forming here. One electric bike priced so high almost nobody bought it. One promising bike riders loved, canceled before launch. But if canceling the bike people wanted was a strange call, the pricing strategy that followed was something else entirely. And one sentence, said out loud to Wall Street, would reveal the whole philosophy. Chapter 4. They'll age into our product. By 2025, Harley's prices had drifted into a place that quietly told you exactly who the brand was building for. A street bob cost $15,999. A Sportster S ran $16,499. And one flagship trike carried a price of $54,999. Now compare that to the competition. Honda's entry-level model started around $4,849, Royal Enfield's beloved Interceptor sat at well under $7,000. Harley was pricing itself further away from anyone young, anyone new, anyone just getting into riding. And when an analyst asked Zeitz how Harley planned to attract younger riders, he gave an answer that should make every business student wince. He said Harley expected customers to age into our product. Read that again. The chief executive of a motorcycle company told Wall Street his growth strategy was, essentially, to wait for people to get old enough and wealthy enough to finally afford his bikes. The riders noticed, the dealers noticed, and the people who actually own the company, the shareholders, noticed most of all. At the very next annual meeting, the knives came out. Chapter 5, The Revolt. At Harley's shareholder meeting in May of 2025, the rebellion went public. Nearly 48% of shareholders voted to withhold their support from Zeitz. That is not a quiet grumble. That is almost half the room saying they had lost faith in the man on top. It got more direct. The company's #2 shareholder publicly demanded his immediate resignation. And when Zeitz announced his retirement, the reaction from the dealers said everything. One prominent dealer was asked how many dealers were happy about the change. His answer was simple and devastating. All of them. So who did Harley turn to next? A man whose previous jobs were running Pizza Hut and then a golf entertainment company. Once again, a leader with no real motorcycle industry background. By some accounts, he bought his first Harley only weeks before being named chief executive. And he arrived with the company still deep in cost-cutting mode. Which raises the obvious question. After 5 years of all this, just how bad was the damage? Because the numbers, the ones from right now, tell a story Harley would much rather you did not see. Chapter 6. Today the bleeding hasn't stopped. This is no longer ancient history. This is happening right now. For the full year 2025, Harley's global motorcycle sales fell 12%. In North America, its biggest market, sales dropped 13%, down to roughly 89,000 bikes. Then came the earnings that truly shocked Wall Street. When Harley reported its latest full-year results, it posted an adjusted loss of $2.44 per share, more than double the loss analysts had feared. Its operating loss ballooned to $361 million, compared with a loss of just under $200 million the year before. Fourth quarter revenue crashed 28%. For the full year, total revenue fell 26%. The stock tumbled on the news. And the electric dream? Livewire sold under 1,000 motorcycles in all of 2025, and it is still bleeding. Harley expects it to lose between $70 and $80 million this year alone. To prop up its own stock, Harley announced a $200 million share buyback, spending cash to defend a price the market kept punishing. Now, in fairness, there is one flicker of hope. In the first quarter of 2026, global retail sales actually rose 8%, led by strong touring demand in the United States. Harley's new chief executive insists there is a clear path back, but read the fine print. That rebound was driven by the older, wealthier touring buyer, the exact customer who is, quite literally, aging out of riding. And the company still burned through $228 million in cash that very same quarter. Which brings us to the question that should genuinely worry Harley. What happens when the gray-bearded boomers finally hang up their boots for good? Chapter 7. Why this might be the end. Here is the existential trap, and it is brutally simple. Harley's core customer is old and getting older. Industry observers describe a tsunami of trouble as boomer-age riders retire from the road. And the whole point of those canceled bikes and crushing prices was that they pushed away the one group Harley desperately needed, the young riders who were supposed to replace them. You cannot sell to a generation you spent 5 years chasing away. The bikes that might have hooked them, the affordable Bronx, a sensible electric, were killed or priced into the stratosphere. So even if touring sales bounce for a quarter or two, the pipeline of future buyers has a gaping hole where an entire generation should be. That is why this is different from Harley's past comebacks. The brand has survived near death before, but it always had a younger generation waiting to buy in. This time, that generation rode off on a Honda, a Royal Enfield, or nothing at all. You can fix a balance sheet. You cannot easily fix a missing generation of customers. And that is the real legacy of putting a sneaker executive in charge of an icon. He did not just lose a few bad years. He may have broken the bridge to Harley's next 50. The numbers from today are not a blip. They might be the slow-motion sound of a legend running out of road. So I will leave you with the question this whole story is really about. Do you think Harley-Davidson can ever truly recover? Or did the damage go too deep to undo? Drop your verdict in the comments. And if this opened your eyes, hit subscribe, because I dig into the stories the big channels won't touch.